Welcome into the DNVR Rockies podcast. I am your host, Susie Hunter, joined by Christian Saez. We are bringing you a Friday happy hour edition of the DNVR Rockies podcast. Christian, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Susie. I'm hanging in there. We're getting ready for a good series against the White Sox here, and we've got some fun topics to talk about today.
We do. We have a lot of fun things to talk about. The thing I'm most excited, we have a great interview with Ryan Feltner that we're going to share with you. We got some baseball headlines. We're going to talk about what's going on in Tampa. We're going to preview the rest of this White Sox series. But first, let's talk about the Rockies news that we have. It's a very quiet Rockies news day. There is not too much going on. Down in Albuquerque's had kind of a rough week.
Yeah. It's taken over a little bit of the headlines from the Rockies, although there isn't much fighting between the Rockies and Albuquerque. The Rockies aren't doing much right now.
No. It's again super quiet week. We do have you can look at the lineup today. We've got Charlie Blackmon with hitting leadoff, and then Ezekiel Tovar right behind him. It's a nice combo.
Yeah, it is a good combo. And we've talked about this before. This is one of those situations where you just got to get creative, mix it up a little bit. The Rockies are not in a place where you're feeling too hot about anything. So try new things, get some guys some different looks, put some guys in different spots in the lineup. And speaking of kind of having different spots in the lineup, like that can sometimes cause players to get out of their heads a little bit. You take a guy who normally is used to hitting 2 or 3 spot, drop him down to a 5 or 6 spot, or vice versa. Sometimes that works out. So, if I'm Bud Black, mix things up a little bit.
Yeah, of course. I think also one of the things that has mixed up, changed up a little bit, Charlie Blackmon back in the outfield.
Yes.
Not in the DH spot. Jerks and Profar in the DH spot.
Yeah, and Blackmon going to the outfield, I feel like is a pretty reasonable move for the Rockies. The Rockies have been just trying to figure out the outfield, for a while. They've been kind of moving through some guys. We've, obviously dealt with a lot of changes in the outfield, especially over the years. So Blackmon is a guy who's got a lot of experience in the outfield, and he's just someone that you hope to be consistent out there.
Exactly. It's where he belongs. And he doesn't like DHing. He likes to actually play the field as well as hit the ball.
It is weird because I've heard mixed reactions from players on the whole DH role versus being a two-way player, and some guys will say, okay, I love being a DH because it allows me to just focus on hitting. But a lot of other guys will say, look, it's too much focus on hitting because all I can think about is I've got 3 at-bats today, most likely, and that's it. That's all my production for the entire game. And so I think a lot of big competitors like Charlie Blackmon usually like to put a little bit more value into their game than just being the DH. And when you can do more than just hit, why not?
Exactly. I think with Charlie, I feel like he's just been in the majors for so long. He has a rhythm.
Yeah.
And now that, the DH exists in the National League, him using that option as being the DH, I'm sure it just totally throws off his rhythm.
Yeah, it does. It does. And, because like I said, instead of being out in the outfield where your brain is working through plays and pitches and, okay, I'm going to be shifting a little bit for this batter and this batter, you're sitting in the dugout thinking through how am I going to get on base my next, at bat. And it's just a very different mindset that you have to have. There's a lot more thinking that goes into it and a lot more downtime. Some guys love that. Some guys don't want to think that much. I'm one of the players that I'm I would hate to be a DH because, you're just sitting there thinking to yourself, okay, when am I going to get up again? When am I going to get up?
Just you and your thoughts.
You and your thoughts, yeah.
Dangerous place to be.
It is. Put yourself in the outfield, get yourself something else to think about, and it keeps a routine, and that's the biggest part. So having Blackmon in the outfield, someone who's been consistently good in the outfield, that's totally fine for me. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, happy about it. You know what else I'm happy about? We heard news that Ryan Feltner and Chase Anderson are both going to face some live batters on Saturday. Chase Anderson's been in the IL for a little bit, but Ryan Feltner, of course, he's recovering from something much more traumatic. But had a great conversation with him the other day about his road to recovering from the skull fracture and his plan on how he's going to pitch again this season. Like we've only got a few weeks of the season left, like 6-ish weeks.
It's crazy how fast things have gone. I mean, it's literally feels like, we're a couple weeks away from September, and then October comes up, and and the Rockies will likely not be, and barring a miracle, I don't even know, is it statistically possible for the Rockies to make it to the playoffs?
I don't know if statistically they're out of it completely, but they might as well be, because again, the Rockies are on pace today. I did the math again. They are on pace to lose exactly 100 games right now, and they do also have the second worst run differential in all of baseball.
And that would be the first time they've ever lost 100 games.
They've never lost 100 games.
In franchise history.
Not one dang time. I think the closest they got is 98 losses.
Oof.
So
yeah, that's brutal. So
it's not a record you want to break, but it's a record that's going to happen.
So the Rockies season will be ending in September, and so you've got a month and a half of baseball left for the Rockies. And here's where this comes in. When you're looking at Bud Black, you're looking at the ownership, the general manager for the Rockies. This is a time where you're getting in-game experience for guys that you might be seeing next year. Because obviously this year, it's not going to happen for them. So I want to start seeing a bit of a shift from management, seeing what the future of the Rockies looks like. That's the value that I see when you hit this point in the year where you don't see anything coming from this year, this season. What's next? What can we do to start preparing for next year? Because, baseball offseason, it's a long offseason. And when you're not getting in-game reps for these pitchers or, guys coming up to hit, it's not the same when you bring them into spring training. And so I want to start seeing that kind of stuff now, getting a taste for guys. Like you said, we've talked about a little bit, like Cole Tucker, who hasn't had a lot of reps in the bigs yet, but is a player that we could potentially see getting more consistent playing time with the Rockies in the future. I want to start seeing him a little bit more because the Rockies don't have anything to lose at this point. So
nothing to lose.
You need to start making those adjustments as you move forward.
Exactly. And I do think that we've been seeing a lot more young players getting more playing time.
Yeah.
And I think also one of those young players that was getting a lot of time, Ryan Feltner, was, a member of this rotation before sustaining such an awful injury. But he's one of those guys who has proven that he can do it. And now I think the next step is proving to himself that he can come back to pitch. But we're gonna run this interview. Alyssa, are we ready for it? All right, here is our conversation with Ryan Feltner. All right, Ryan Feltner, you are on this comeback trail here. You're a few days away from facing live batters. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Physically normal. Now it's just about building up my intensity and the volume, and so we're getting there.
Is the fracture totally healed?
Fracture's healed. Concussion symptoms are gone. I was working with really good concussion professionals in Scottsdale, along with the team, and they were Banner Health was the name of it, and I feel really good, and they cleared me, so I'm ready to go.
That must feel like such a relief.
Yeah, it does. For a while there, I didn't know which way it would turn. It didn't. Things didn't always look promising, but once I checked off little boxes along the way, it got a lot easier. So it's definitely a relief.
Can you talk about those moments that didn't feel so promising?
Yeah. Well, I think the initial one was just in the hospital. We didn't know if the bleeding was going to get worse, and if it did, I would have had to get surgery, and that would have been a little bit of a tougher road back. But I was lucky enough that it got better. The bleeding went down, and then after that, it was just battling normal concussion symptoms. And then after that, things got a lot easier, but there's always mental hurdles you have to get over, and just the anxiousness of wanting to play again and not being able to. But that kind of drove me to look into things to get better, and I tried to use the time to my advantage in that way.
This must have just been such a change of pace compared to what you're used to your whole life working towards the majors.
Yeah, this is way different. Kind of being forced to take time off. similar to COVID, just trying to make use of the time the best that I can, and that's really all it was for me, other than just recovery.
Now, of course, what you went through was very physically traumatizing, very mentally traumatizing. What have you done to fix or not fix, but, work on the mental side of it?
Yeah, that was a big part for me. I think that I didn't have any issues with it per se, but I knew that could be a hurdle, and I just wanted to be out in front of it in case it was. It hasn't been up to this point, but there have been some things that I've done, journaling, basic stuff, to kind of just make sure that it was a smooth transition back, and up to this point it's been great.
You've been journaling?
Yeah, it's been one thing, one part of the process, and also just talking to teammates about what happened, other guys around the league, stuff like that has been kind of healing in a way too. So the support from everybody helps as well. Just the support around this organization and everybody has been overwhelming. It's been very helpful in the process.
Is there any one person in particular that you've spoken with about this journey that you've been on that you can tell me about?
Matt Cook actually had a similar issue a while back in his career. And then Chris Bassett reached out to me pretty soon after it happened, and we chatted about it a little bit through Instagram. And just the support from guys that have been through it, and just knowing that things are going to be all right. This is what I do, and kind of just having that fearlessness towards it, I think is a good thing.
Have you ever talked to Nick Castellanos since then? Because I know he sent you something, but have you guys been in touch since last time we asked you about this?
Not since last time, but we texted initially, and he sent me a little card, and it was super nice, and that was part of the process for me. I saw how upset he was, and it's just part of the game. That's the game that we play, and I felt bad that he was so upset. It's just something that happens, one of those freaky things, but he's a good dude. I appreciate all the support from him as well.
I know this whole time you've maintained, at least to us, that you were going to come back this season, and now you're steps closer to it. How do you feel about that in terms of the timeline of this recovery that you've been through?
Yeah, I'll only say this because I think it's important for other people to hear that might be going through something similar. I think right when it did first happen, the initial thoughts were, I don't want to do this anymore, and I think that is a natural reaction. I think that's kind of a healthy reaction, but then once the dust settled, I had a week or so to recover and feel a little bit better, and realize that this is what I do, this is what I've worked towards, and I wouldn't want to come this entire way to put things at a halt. So those thoughts went away really quickly, and it's been all up since then. So it's been just staying positive, fighting those thoughts, and I'm really looking forward to being back out there now.
Yeah, what a story. Well, I'm so happy he was so open about how, listen, it's not just, it's a grind trying to get back out there.
Yeah, and I actually loved how he talked about being proactive with his mental health with that, because I think that's such an underrated aspect of an injury like this. He didn't just break his arm. He didn't just have Tommy John. The dude got drilled in the face, with a baseball coming 90 miles an hour. That is a super psychologically impactful injury. And so the idea that he was saying, look, I wasn't really in my head, but I wanted to get ahead of it just in case. I think that's a valuable part of what he was saying, because it's just you just don't know how to deal with that. If you've never, I was a pitcher and I never got hit in the head, got hit in the shoulder a couple times on comebackers and stuff. But I would imagine if I took a line drive coming 85 off the bat to my face, I would be a little hesitant to get back out there, and so it's tough. It's a part of the game, unfortunately, but I'm really glad he was able to talk on that a little bit.
Yeah, and we didn't know that he had those hesitations right after the injury happened. So it was very eye-opening to hear about it. But again, he said it's it's very natural to have that kind of reaction after you've been through something like that. I'm like, yeah, it is.
I mean, think of it this way. I remember when, there was one time I was playing in the infield when I was in high school. I didn't normally play in the infield, but there was this one throw. I was playing third base, and I just sailed the throw over the first baseman's head. And for some reason, in my head, I just started overthinking it. And then the next time I get a routine ground ball, soar it over the first baseman's head. And now I'm really starting to think like, God, what am I doing? And even just that simple act of like the idea of like, okay, please make this throw to first base. I was so in my head that I just was not able to make a quality, simple throw. I can't imagine what it's like when a guy gets hit and injured in that specific way. I'm like, that's 10 times worse, And,
Yeah.
I mean, mine was all just psychological and like, just a playing standpoint. Like, that's an injury. How are you not pitching it thinking that at any moment you're going to get another line drive right off the forehead? And so being able to practice that, like journaling, as he was talking about, and have an actionable plan. Working on your brain is just as important as working on your body. And I think so many athletes and people aren't aware of that. And so I'm really glad that the conversation is changing around that, because it's super helpful when you do that.
Yeah, and it seems like from what we've heard, from what we can tell, this Rockies clubhouse is pretty open about their mental health.
Oh, very much so.
And it's so important. And I think, it's good for them. I think it's also good to just set an example for other guys who are already playing, future players, young players right now. I love it. We did ask Buddy, Rockies manager Bud Black, what he thought about all the work that Ryan has put into this road to recovery. But are we ready to roll that? All right. Here's what Buddy had to say about Ryan Feltner.
That's been a high priority for Ryan, is to come back. I think he knows the physical component will be there, right? He feels good physically now. Now it's just a matter of, when that batter's in the box, to have that comfort and confidence that he had before he got hit. And the only way you do that is to get back out there. And I think he understands that.
All right, let's talk about DraftKings right now, because they're all about UFC 292 this weekend. So are we, of course, because we'll have it on at the bar. But, this is going to be a good one, though. It's going to be a good one. This bantamweight battle for the belt is going down during UFC 292. Aljamain Sterling and Sugar Sean O'Malley are going to fight for the title this Saturday. Will the current champ keep his crown, or is it the challenger's time to shine? Get your bets in on the DraftKings Sportsbook app, the official sports betting partner of USC. New customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. So yeah, I'm sure everyone at the bar is going to have the phones out.
I mean, can we start, getting bets on who the baseball fight is going to be that headlines the UFC fight? Can we predict that as well?
Oh my God. Well, hey, last time there was a UFC fight, that was the day that Tim Anderson and Jose Ramirez got into it.
So we need something else.
He's not in the lineup today, so I wonder if he'll try to fight any Rockies this weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know if DraftKings usually puts lines on that.
If there was someone that was going to be fighting Tim Anderson, who would it be? Like, if Tim Anderson squared up with the guy on the Rockies, I guess I should generalize this. If there was a Rockies player that you could see getting in a fight, maybe not instigating a fight, but like, throwing hands and holding his own, who would it be?
This is a really good question. I wish I had a little more time to think on it.
Right? I know, I sprung that one on you.
I don't know. It's like everyone, like, these are actually like all nice guys, but I feel like Diaz would probably be the one who's like, no, I will literally crush you. I'm a tank.
I could see Charlie Blackmon too.
Yeah.
I don't know if his fighting style would be super technical, but I could see him being a challenging guy to fight. I feel like when you fight, you don't really care if your hand's broken. You're just swinging.
I wish he would care.
You do. Yeah, maybe you should care, but I don't know if you are.
All right, you can catch every swing here at the bar, of course, but you can get those bets in on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Download the app right now. Use code DNVR. New customers can bet just $5 on UFC 292 and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's this Saturday, only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code DNVR. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net in partnership with Hollywood Casinos at Charlestown Races. All games regulated by West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling at 888-789-7777 or ccpg.org on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/MMA terms. All right, and we got to mention real fast, Factor meal kits. Do you guys have those at home?
We've tried them, and they are very good. Very
Yeah.
healthy, too. Marissa and I love the healthy options.
So healthy. Listen, like, when I hear meal kits, I'm like, oh, do I have to cook? Oh, there's no work involved in these.
Yeah, no, you just heat them up in the microwave.
Yes. All right. Now that we are in the thick of summer, you might be looking for some wholesome, convenient meals to support those sunny, active days. Factor is America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, so you can fuel up fast with flavorful and nutritious ready-to-eat meals straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track while reaching your goals. Listen, we're all too busy with summer. I have no time to cook right now, but I still don't want to feel awful about myself by eating crap. That's where Factor comes in. You can skip that extra trip to the grocery store. You're not shopping, you're not prepping, you're not cleaning. It is fresh. They're fresh meals, never frozen. They're ready in just 2 minutes. All you have to do is heat it and enjoy it, and then get back to whatever nonsense you are doing over the summer. But yeah, you want to feel the best during your summer adventures, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. I know. Marissa and I loved that little sample pack we got. It was awesome.
I know. I still need to get one.
Yeah. You have not.
But I have been experiencing a lot of FOMO because everyone in the office has theirs.
Yeah, I know. And I will say I am the self-proclaimed cook in the house, but it is very nice to unplug and not cook every once in a while. And this is so even for the home chefs out there, this is a good way to just take a night off, and get a good already pre-made meal.
Exactly. And if you don't like the idea of having all this food delivered to you, you can rest assured it's still a sustainable choice. Factor offsets 100% of their delivery emissions, and they use 100% renewable energy, renewable electricity for their production sites and their offices, and all of their seafood is sustainably sourced too. And I know that's a big deal to a lot of people. So yeah, here's what you got to do. You have to head to factormeals.com/ROX50. That's ROX50. Oh, sorry, DNVR Rocks50. There we go. That is the code. We'll put it in the description too, just in case you want to copy and paste that. But you're going to get 50% off. So again, go to factormeals.com/DNVR ROX50. You're going to get 50% off of some really good meals. You're going to feel really good about yourself with zero effort, which is my favorite thing to do.
Best way to do it.
Best way to do anything is zero effort.
Zero effort and feel great.
All right, let's talk about some baseball headlines. The Angels have done something very interesting in the past couple of days. They have already called up someone that they drafted a month ago.
Yeah, 19 years old.
First rounder Nolan Schanuel. I think that's how you say his name. I hope that's how you say his name.
Yeah.
He hasn't been around for too long, so I just don't know. But yeah, that is a first. I think it's been since the 40s that someone has been called up to the majors that quickly.
Yeah, and I mean, I look at guys like, you compare them to guys like Bryce Harper or, players like that skipped through the minors very quickly. The minor leagues in baseball is not a minor league system that you jump through like that. It
takes years.
It's not like the NBA where you can get a guy, straight out of his college year or whatever that year is, and he goes straight to the NBA, and you get your LeBron James playing right out of high school, basically. No, these guys have to take at least a year usually, or 6 months or whatever it might be, to go through a little bit of minor league reps before you start seeing major league looks. I think it's also because of the difference in dynamic. I think baseball, there's such a talent gap between even successful college pitching and college hitting versus the pros. And so it takes a bit to adjust, even for the Bryce Harpers of the world out there. But yeah, it's impressive. We'll see if it translates.
Very, very impressive. So yeah, he is slated to be the starting first baseman for the Angels Friday night The Tampa Bay Rays are out there playing them. Yeah, he's hitting leadoff too.
Well, and,
what a
the
way
Angels,
to start.
The Angels need that. They're another one of those teams where you're kind of like, it's a little bit different than the Rockies because you have Shohei Ohtani, but one of those teams that you're not doing too great. They're not out of it, but they're
not really in it.
They're
either.
not really in it either. Exactly.
Yeah, I think Angels fans more than anything want a little more hope for the future.
Totally.
And that's what this kid is.
And so to me, I see this and I'm like, this is what I want from the Rockies. Obviously, we don't have a 19-year-old prospect that can throw up through the minors in a week, but I want to start seeing these type of risks being taken, saying I'm going to give our best prospect a shot up here because why not? What are you losing? Yeah, worst case, he has a couple off games and maybe he's not ready for the spotlight. Yeah, you throw him back down to Double-A and give him his normal time in the minors. Like, what are you really risking here?
Well, I guess the worst thing, the service time stuff. But yeah. But that shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't if you're a team that's trying to make it to the playoffs. And the Angels have pieces. They've got Mike Trout. They've got Shohei Ohtani. They've got other pieces to this puzzle that have talent. And for some reason, they just are not able to put all of it together. And so they're just one of those teams that you're desperate at this point. And this is a show of desperation. But I like it. It's a positive risk.
Yeah, definitely. Another prospect in a different organization who's been moving up very quickly, who the Orioles have not ruled out calling him up.
Yeah.
Jackson Holliday.
Yeah.
They have not, apparently, according to reports, they have not ruled out calling him up at some point this season. He would also be debuting at 19 if he makes it up here.
The Orioles are just such an interesting organization.
Aren't they?
They're just like, they've been in the headlines in so many of the wrong ways for the last few weeks. But at the same time, the Orioles are doing well. Like, they're a good team right now. And baseball's obviously finicky. It's, goes up and down. Good teams have up and down parts of the season, but the Orioles across the board have had a successful season, and yet it still just feels like there are just these weird things happening with the Orioles. So,
but they're actually a fun team, though.
They are a fun team.
They're having fun, and it's a lot of guys who are going to be around for a long time. Also, so weird that Aaron Hicks, ends up with the Orioles after getting DFA'd by the Yankees, and all of a sudden just became incredible.
Yeah, you just happen to wake up. I'm used to
That's
that
how
as
good the vibes are. That's how good the vibes are there, is how I am reading the situation.
I will say, as a former Mariners fan, I'm very used to that. Guys being, subpar in the Mariners and then getting traded and becoming good when they leave the Mariners. So I get that whole experience. But the Orioles are a lot of fun to watch. Everything that goes on behind the scenes is a little weird for them.
It really is. It really is. Is Kevin Brown still suspended?
No, he's back.
Okay.
He was actually trending the other day because he was doing a Blink-182 impression.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. You know what? I did see that. I'm just so crazy.
And that was how I found out he came back. But that whole debacle was just weird. I mean, and then he put out that statement saying, like, no, I support the Orioles organization. I'm like, why though? They just suspended you for the most.
Well, what else is he going to say?
But I get that, but also, he's not going to trash his organization. He's obviously trying to keep.
Obviously, he can't even not try anything he says about the Orioles. Chance
for
to get suspended. If you actually spoke out against it, he'd be done.
But the amount of support that he got from that. There's no way he wouldn't have found a job somewhere else if he wanted to. I mean, the guy had so much support from the entire broadcasting world. But that just shows. And to me, what I saw from that was that there was a lot going on behind the scenes that we didn't know about. Because realistically, I'm like, there's no way this guy gets suspended for being, I wouldn't even call it critical. He was just speaking straight up facts about the past, record of the Orioles against that team. And so, I don't know. It was a weird situation. I don't like that it took away from the very fun team that the Orioles have been this year.
Yeah, you know what? That is the whole point. That is exactly where I lie on this. What a great podcast where people agree with each other.
Yeah.
No, but exactly. It was such an unnecessary distraction, and all they had to do, if they just didn't acknowledge it, no one would have known.
Yeah. It was not controversial what he said at all. It is said on pregame and postgame, segments in any team you play for. Like, you talk about the history between your team and this team. That's a huge segment. That also, I mean, Alyssa can speak to this too. Most of the time, the producer is the one who actually puts these segments together when it comes to a pregame and postgame segment. So it's like, it's not even all on Kevin Brown. There had to have been more stuff going on behind the scenes. It was just a weird thing, but I'm glad they worked it out. I just didn't like that it took away from the vibes of the Orioles.
Exactly. Alyssa, do you have input?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
The producer should have. You should be watching that.
Well, and also, like, I mean, it wasn't controversial what was being said. So, like,
too.
it just seemed like something that I'm like, okay, maybe you get a talking to afterwards where you say, hey, we're having a really good season. Maybe we don't talk about the negative records in the past. Still, that's a little weird to me, but, you know, because you're just literally speaking facts.
Right.
But, you know, maybe the management, you know, maybe your executive producer says, we don't want to put a negative spin on anything at this point. But it's not a suspendable offense at all, especially for the broadcaster. So anyways, I'm glad it got worked out on his end. And, you know, for this 19-year-old Jackson Holliday, we'll see. We'll see if he gets to be a part of a very good team. Their situation is very different than the Angels because the Angels aren't doing great. The Orioles are. So if Jackson Holliday gets called up as a 19-year-old, to me, that's a bigger story.
That would be a huge story, especially, I mean, if they're thinking about calling him up soon, a week from today, the Rockies are going to be in Baltimore. And how cool of a story would it be if Matt Holliday's son debuts with the Orioles while the Rockies are in town? That would be the best story of the season.
Yeah. Wait a minute. I might be totally uninformed here. I did not know that was Matt Holliday's son.
Yeah. No, so all those pictures of, you know, Matt Holliday holding that little baby.
That was Jackson
That's
Holliday?
Jackson Holliday. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, want to feel old?
So uninformed here. Yeah. No, I was just like, it's cool that he's really young and what, you know, but wow, I had no idea.
He's our son.
Is he
is as much our son as he is Matt Holliday's
Is he
son.
as bald as Matt Holliday?
Nope, he's got a beautiful head of hair.
Right. Because
But
God, I
he's also-
loved Matt
he's also
Holliday's bald
19.
head. That was no, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, that was vintage Matt Holliday for me. It's just like, dude is jacked and he's just got a shiny head. It's awesome.
Beautiful.
So good. Yeah.
Yes.
I enjoyed watching Matt Holliday play. Matt Holliday was one of those guys too that like didn't look like he had a baseball body. He looked like a tight end.
Yeah.
And he just was very good at baseball. Loved watching him play.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
funny. Yeah, I did not make that connection until just now.
He does have
Oh,
flow.
wow.
Yeah, like this.
Okay, but hold on. Can we take off the hat and then we'll see? That's baseball for me. Is like.
Do you think he's bald on top
No,
and just
I don't
like
think he's bald. I just am like, you know,
He's got flow. He's got volume.
that is a lot of hair. That is a big volume. But I'm just wary of baseball players because we've all seen those baseball players who have like good hair in the back and then they take their hat off and they're like nothing on top and you're just like, whoa, you should leave the hat on.
Mullet life.
But he's 19, so it can't be too bad.
You know who I always forget is
All
bald
of these
until he
pictures are
takes
hats.
off his hat. I always forget Mookie Betts is bald.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Time,
Yeah.
every time. I don't know why. Every time he
David Wright.
takes off a hat.
David Wright. Do you remember David Wright?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Anytime he'd take off his hat and he just was like straight down the middle, it's bald. And you're just like, wow, okay, maybe leave the hat on.
Listen, respectfully, okay?
Yeah.
Respectfully. We love
baseball
our
hats
bald
makes
beauties,
look good.
okay?
Yep.
Please. I'm not trying to like dunk on anyone here. We're just having a conversation about hair.
I just love the look of a baseball hat, you know, on anyone. So maybe I'm just biased of people wearing baseball hats.
you know what I'm hearing is like when people take off baseball hats, you think they look worse.
No matter if you have hair or not. I don't care. You just always look better with a baseball hat on.
All right. Do you think Tim Anderson looks better after issuing an apology? This is
God.
also kind of this feels like a lot. Feels like kind of a delayed apology.
Very much so. It's like he took a second to wake up a little bit. I don't know if we have access to the apology. I know
I do. I have it open on my computer right now.
Okay, I do as well. I don't want to necessarily read the whole thing. But the part that was interesting to me is he says about halfway through, quote, I will not get into the things that were said to me by Cleveland players both Friday night and Saturday, but those comments do not excuse my language or conduct, and I take full responsibility for my emotions getting the better of me. And the Cleveland players are free to say whatever they want. And then he went on to continue that. My takeaway from that is that's a sideways way of saying, I didn't start it.
It's a little bit of a backhanded apology.
It is a full-on backhanded
That is
apology.
how I am reading it. He's like, well, I didn't start it, but
Yep,
I guess I shouldn't have finished it.
I'm gonna be the bigger person and not tell you what they said, but I'm gonna tell you they said something, and you're gonna have to just figure that out on your own. And so it felt very backhanded to me. It also, my takeaway, and I think I texted this to you and you sent it to me, because I'm like, if he had been the one to win that fight, quote unquote, win that fight, would he have put out an apology? I don't think so. I don't think he would have put out an apology.
I don't think Jose Ramirez apologized.
He didn't, because he smoked the dude. Like why would you apologize? Like, you didn't. I mean, in his press conference afterwards, Jose Ramirez said, "Look, like, I didn't start it, whatever." But if Tim Anderson had won that fight, I think even if he did apologize, it would have been a very different vibe. It would have been like, dude was talking smack. I, got really worked up and I needed to put him in his place. Like, I just think the embarrassment of getting rocked more than any baseball player, maybe outside of, Nolan Ryan and who was the guy that Nolan Ryan, put in a headlock?
Oh my gosh, who was it?
Oh, I'm spacing on his name and I know totally
it was before
what it is.
I was born, so...
Anyways, you guys, if you know baseball, you know who I'm talking about.
Can I read the text that you sent me?
Yeah.
In response, so, quote, I take full responsibility for getting my shit rocked. I will make sure to fight better next time.
That's what he should have said. That's the apology I read. That's how I paraphrased it.
He said words, but this is what you read.
That is what he said in his brain. So no, that was a lame apology from Tim Anderson. I will give him credit though. It sounded like it was written by him. I feel like in today's day and age,
believe that.
there are so many apologies that you see over much more controversial things where you're like, oh God, some PR person wrote that for you. There's no way those are your words. Those were Tim Anderson's words. He wrote that apology. That's why it sounded the way it sounded. And he's not playing right now. So
you know what? I mean, at least it came from the heart.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, did he really want to apologize? No. Do we see that in this apology? Yes, we do.
It has to be the most embarrassing thing ever to get absolutely, beat up in a 5-second baseball brawl. You got 3 swings in and one of them landed from your other guy and he knocked you down. Like, I can't imagine how embarrassing that is.
You know what? I feel like Tim Anderson can fight. Like, he's a guy that I see. I'm like, no, he could fight.
Also, you don't just throw down you don't throw up your hands like that if you can't have some ability in fighting. Like, I am not a fighter. I would not be quick to drop my gloves and fight because I don't have experience fighting. So I don't trust that I wouldn't make myself look like a fool. Tim Anderson was ready to go. So yeah, I think he could probably hold his own.
Tim Anderson's going to take boxing classes this offseason.
For sure.
White Sox will have time for it.
That's going to be a tense series when they play again.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
Yeah,
I can't wait. Let's talk about some other little headlines. The Yankees on Tuesday had more errors than hits.
Are the Yankees a more embarrassing team than even a team like the Rockies that have more losses? Like,
well, the expectations for a team like the Yankees are always so high, especially with all the money that they spend.
Yeah, the expectations,
I think the big question that I keep seeing, because obviously I know a lot of people in the New York market, but people are asking which team is the bigger embarrassment, the Mets or the Yankees?
That's a good one.
And they are both very embarrassing for different reasons.
Yeah, no, and I just you made a perfect point. The expectations is everything. The Rockies' expectations this year were, hopefully we can get to 500. The Yankees' expectations are always, they're the Lakers of Major League Baseball.
Yes.
Like, they are always supposed to be a playoff contender, even if they're not. And so I think that mentality always sets you up for failure when you have a bad season. And the Yankees have good players. Like, you've got guys that should be better than they are. You've got, Garrett Coles and Aaron Judge. And you've got these guys that should be much better than they're playing. Aaron Judge had a historic season last year. And so the Yankees have been an embarrassment this season. They're getting ready for their series against the Red Sox, and I'm just like, God, it's hard to swallow how they're playing baseball right now.
It really is. It is. It's hard for... No, that's not a good transition. I'm just going to reel it on in. Okay, so Matt Olson of the Braves having an incredible season, leading all of Major League Baseball with 43 home runs right now. So obviously he's very popular right now. He's super famous. Do we have that TikTok loaded of...
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. I will.
Well, the Braves are playing the Giants right now, right?
The Braves are playing.
I thought that I saw them playing the Giants.
I think they are.
Is that the Yeah, that is the Braves and the Giants. They're up 3-0 on the Giants.
I was
right
wondering what you were looking at.
Yeah,
I'm like, what is
I saw.
Are you looking at your reflection, or?
yeah, I was like, I saw a little, a hint of light over there, and I'm like, huh.
Okay, so the MLB TikTok account though posted this like ridiculous, just like it's like a thirst talk.
Oh. I see. I'm in the dark on this one. I did not do any research on this topic because I wanted to be I wanted to be surprised.
I mean, it's
on the
also
outline.
so like silly.
Okay.
So okay, look at this. Look at what they posted. Like all slow-mos.
Ooh. Is there some
Just
rain in there?
dramatic head turns.
Oh, I love this.
But like a shot of the booty. Like
I love
what
all of
is this
this.
thirst talk?
Oh, this is a little glow there.
What is happening, MLB?
Oh,
Who
I
made
absolutely
this?
love that. Yeah, no, I am a fan.
Who made this?
Please, if someone could make a slow motion video of me in the studio, like doing that, like I would be so on board. I would make Marissa post that on TikTok. It would be everywhere. No, that's sweet.
I think Marissa is the one that would make that for you.
Oh, are you
We're
kidding
having
me?
very different reactions to this. I'm like, what is going
No,
on here? And you're like, I love that. I
love
want
it.
that.
The
I want to be
vibes are
it.
there. Let's do it. Keep it going. Major League Baseball, yes. Continue that. Yeah, that's good. I would like to see a little bit more flow there. You got, some videos, some slow-mo videos of guys in the rain. Like, where's the flow, flowing in the wind, that's
That's what we need
where's
Jackson
Charlie
Holiday
Blackman
for.
on a horse riding into Coors Field. Like, that's what I need to see
That
today.
would be such a fun way to open the season.
It would be. Charlie Blackman is like just the embodiment of Major League Baseball, of just a baseball player.
He is baseball.
Like, and I love that he likes the outdoors and going fishing. And it's like my dream. I was thinking about this. I'm like, it'd be my dream to do like an interview with him where we just go out in the mountains, throw on some waders, get out in the river and just fish and just talk baseball and have someone record it and do like have that be like an interview and a segment of just be like fishing with Charlie Blackman. That would be so fun.
I love that. Would you settle for a fishing trip to the little pond in the outfield?
I would totally do that.
I
I would
would
bring
watch
my
that.
waders and Charlie Blackman and I can fish for things in the fountain.
Would you bring your Shady Rays?
Oh, I would. He would too. We would all be rocking the Shady Rays.
You know what? Because Shady Rays, you can take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered for warm weather with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. And they're an independent sunglasses company too, so listen, they're offering a world-class product, just as good as any designer pair that you'll find on the market. Durable frames, great optics, perfect for outdoor adventures, perfect for brunching, and they have the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. Every single pair is backed by their lost and broken replacements, so even if you lose them or you break them, the minute you open them, they will send you a new pair. No questions asked, so you can wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after you purchase. And even better, if you do buy your pair and you're like, you know what, these just aren't working for me, you can exchange or just return them for free within 30 days. So just no risk when you shop. Their team has your back. Their team actually very much has your back because they have an exclusive deal just for our listeners. Shady Rays is giving out the best deal of the dang summer. Go to shadyrays.com and use code DNVR for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. So try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by more than 250,000 people. I definitely need to wear my shades after hitting up Kind Love because their stuff's popping.
Oh yeah,
we love Kind Love. They're basically the farm to table of weed here in Colorado. It's called Seed to Sale, but they're one of the original dispensaries here in Colorado. They've been doing it since 2010. They have a reputation for cultivating some of the finest, highest quality cannabis in the state, which in turn means in the world.
Yeah, I was gonna say it is the most Colorado thing ever to be considered farm to table
Yes,
weed
farm to table
in Colorado.
weed.
Yeah, that is
Yes.
as Colorado as it gets.
Yes, and also as Colorado as it gets, the Turbo Core. It's a toothpick-sized cannabis concentrate stick, and it's like shaped like a toothpick too. So you can put it into a joint or a blunt or a cigarette or whatever, and it's going to turn up the intensity. And you can also get that in a pre-rolled turbo joint.
I'm gonna make you a deal before I come on this show next. I want to try this because
You haven't tried it
I
yet?
haven't yet. No, because it scares the living daylight out of me that I'm gonna. That it's gonna be what? Because I mean, these advertisements, it makes it sound like a freaking roller coaster. So I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna absolutely try it, and I will. I'll speak to it next time.
I will say I had a bunch of them at home, and I gave one to one of my friends, and I was like, he took one hit of it, and he was like, "Have you listened to the new Post Malone album?"
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
See, that's what I'm afraid of. That's exactly what I'm afraid of. But at the same time, it sounds very exciting.
You know what? I will say, big fan of the Turbo Joint,
That's
big fan
funny.
of the Turbo Core. But yeah, visit their stores in North Denver or in Cherry Creek. Mention DNVR and receive the DNVR exclusive discount of 25% off all Kind Love flower, pre-rolls, and the whole Turbo Joint line. That's again 25% off. Mention DNVR, and you can also visit kindlove.com and use code DNVR for online ordering. Or just to check out their exclusive or extensive menu before you hop in. All right, we gotta get out of here kind of soon. Let's real fast just preview the White Sox series. For one, I do think the White Sox are cursed.
Okay.
In the same way that Mariners fans think the Mariners logo is cursed, the City Connect logo.
Yeah, because of the
downward
trident
arrows.
is upside. Yeah, the trident is upside down.
Yes. So since Guaranteed Rate took over the naming rights for the field that they play at, there's a big down red arrow.
Okay.
And since then, they have only had one winning season, and that was like back in 2016.
And they're another one of those teams that like you feel like has good prospects and some good guys on the team. I mean, Tim Anderson was hot a few years ago, and they haven't really done anything.
Because they're cursed. It's
I think you might have something going there.
It's the most reasonable explanation. I think
It does.
Guaranteed Rate needs to change their logo and change it now.
What's the explanation for the Rockies' struggles then? Okay.
No, we don't talk about that here on our Colorado Rockies show.
No, we don't.
It's dumb. All right, so taking the mound tonight at 6:40, Peter Lambert up against righty Michael Kopech. Saturday, it's a 6:10 game. It's a Kyle Freeland day. He will be up against Jesse Schultens. He's got a 3.2 ERA. He's 1-5. Interesting stuff. We'll see how he does at Coors Field. And then Sunday is Chris Flexen versus righty Dylan Cease. That'll be juicy. That'll be Sunday at 1:10 p.m. Patrick will be back hosting the post-game show on Sunday. Todd Helton will be in town this weekend.
Okay.
And then downstairs here at the bar, we've got Friday Night Live coming up featuring the Avs.
Yes.
Our fantastic Avs beat. I already saw Megan walk in.
It's
so.
crazy that it's almost hockey season and basketball, but and football. It's all coming up. I mean, basketball's a while away, but
all
hockey's
happening.
October 11th, the Avs opener.
Yeah, but more so, I consider the real Avs opener to be this show that's going to be live at the bar.
Yes.
They've got the podcast set up down there. It's going to be a lot of fun, and Alyssa actually needs to go set that up, so we're going to wrap up the show.
Yes.
But Christian, tell us where we can follow you.
You can find me on Twitter at CJJ spelled like Baez, but with an S.
Perfect. You can follow me at the Susie Hunter on all platforms, and you can follow along all of the latest Rockies news at DNVR_Rockies on Twitter. And Christian, you know what we like to say here about wrapping up a show?
No, let me know.
There's just no way to do it, so we just gotta end it and get out of here, get to the park. We'll talk to you guys on Sunday.
See ya.